Welcome to the Astrology Show with your host, Kelly Fox. Each week, Kelly will give you access to the current transits that are a valuable tool which provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has through our sun sign. Understanding the current planetary influences each week can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. Sometimes, events in your life may seem completely random, but there is a pattern to the order of these events, one set in motion in part by you, and in part by the planets and stars in the sky and their influence on your life here on Earth. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, if you're going to get that promotion, move to a new city, or fall in love, tune in to the Astrology Show for guidance. It can help you anticipate problems before they occur, give you tools to cope with changes, and help you look forward to the wonderful days ahead. Kelly Fox is a professional astrologer and internet pioneer who launched Astrology.com, one of the first and most successful astrology websites. Today, her passion lies with her new site, theastrologer.com, where she brings a modern-day approach to an ancient wisdom. Please join Kelly each week to learn more about how the planets can align for you.
Hi there, and welcome to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox. And on this show, I'm going to be talking about love, romance, and compatibility according to the stars. Hey, baby, what's your sign? Well, that might be the cheesiest pickup line in history, but if you know their sun sign, you can find out a lot about how the two of you will match up. Will you get along like two peas in a pod or go at it like Siamese fighting fish? Can you expect long conversations or awkward silences? A meeting of the minds or absolutely nothing in common? Well, each sun sign from Aries through Pisces is associated with a certain astrological element, and the elements are fire, earth, air, or water. And that lends the sign particular qualities. It all comes down to the heated passions of fire, the grounded stability of earth, the clever intellect of air, or the emotional depth of the water signs, and how any two given elements mix in love. That is today's show. So when two people become romantically involved, their elements can either blend well together or clash against each other, causing tension and discord. So the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And the air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And what I'm going to do throughout the show is talk about the elemental compatibility. So I'm going to start with fire and fire. So when you have Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius with an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. So when two fire signs are romantically involved, it's definitely passion meets passion all of the time. These two make an ardent couple, and they can hardly keep their hands off each other. It follows, of course, that two fire signs will occasionally go head-to-head in epic clashes. The kind of disagreements that could have smoke pouring from both lovers' ears. That's just part of the passionate connection these two fire signs share. And for the most part, they can use their fiery clashes as fodder for some truly steamy makeup sessions. Life is just too exciting to waste much time on holding a grudge when it comes to fire-fire compatibility. And that is Aries, Leo, and or Sagittarius. So the soulmate probability of fire and fire is pretty high, so long as conflict doesn't become too much of a habit. Constant arguments can undermine even the steamiest connection over time. Next, we have fire and earth. And fire is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, and the earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So when a fire sign and an earth sign are romantically involved, it's a case of two people with very different qualities trying to make it work. And in the long run, it could work out quite well as long as earth appreciates fire's high energy and ardent nature, and fire values the earth's grounded, practical perspective. These are very important qualities in a long-term relationship after all, but the problem is that fire and earth can drive each other crazy fast. They're just very different. Now, fire may feel stifled by earth's relentless insistence on being sensible, while earth might find fire's passionate nature to be too much high drama to deal with on a long-term basis. Now, the soulmate probability for fire and earth is quite low unless these two are able to appreciate one another for their differences rather than feeling distanced because of their differences. So that's fire and earth, and fire is Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Next, we have fire and air signs together. How do fire and air signs match up in a love relationship? So the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, while the air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So when we have a fire sign and an air sign that are romantically involved, it's just like when a gust of wind hits the embers of a campfire. So the sparks go flying everywhere. The air is drawn to the fire's energy and exuberance, and the fire sign loves the air sign's clever wit and high-flying ideas. These two elements, when they come together, share a lot of passion. But perhaps even more than that, they make great friends. And a strong friendship is an excellent foundation for a long-term love affair. But of course, these two could lack that all-important grounding influence that will keep their feet firmly planted when necessary. So the soulmate probability overall is high, as long as they can develop the practicality needed to keep the relationship on solid ground. And that's fire and air, and the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, and the air signs Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Moving right along, next we have the fire signs with the water signs, and the fire signs Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and water signs being Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So when a fire sign and a water sign are romantically involved, it can be a wonderful way for fire to soften up and delve into the feeling side of life, while water benefits from the fun spark of adventure and excitement from the fire sign that they might otherwise be lacking. But the problem with this pairing is that a bucket of water tossed onto a campfire, well, you can just imagine. Water's deeply emotional nature can be a bit of a buzzkill for the exuberant, energetic fire signs. Fire signs and water signs are both quite passionate, but in very, very different ways. Fire is all about the ardor, the temper, the big blustery shows of emotion, while water tends to feel things very deeply, even when they seem placid on the surface. So these two are very different. When you think about the elements and you think of fire and water, They're both very passionate, but in very different ways. So the soulmate probability is medium. It's not a natural pairing, but opposites often do attract. So these two can share a steamy bond if they appreciate each other for their complementary qualities. So that's the fire sign compatibility with the other three elements. And so the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. I just covered how the fire signs are compatible with the other elements. And the other elements are earth, air, and water. And fire signs are very passionate, while the earth signs are grounded, the air signs are intellectual, and the water signs are very emotional. So it really is coming together of compatibility according to the elements. There are other ways to view compatibility in astrology. Of course, astrology compatibility is more than just sun signs, but it's a great place to start. Anytime I do a reading and I'm asked to do a love reading or a romance reading for somebody, I have to take the birth date, the birth time, and the birth place of each individual, and then I will cast a chart, and I cast what is called a synastry chart, which takes the two astrology charts of the individuals, and I compare all of the planets to all of the planets. So when we're born with more than just a sun sign. We're born with all the planets in all the signs. And then how do we not only connect within ourselves, within our own chart, but that with somebody else, not just romantically, but every person in our life we have a compatibility with. So after the break, I will continue with love, romance, and compatibility according to the stars. And I will continue on with the elements, and the next element is Earth. The Earth
Conscious
signs.
media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you been searching for a perspective beyond the mainstream? Check it out. Join your hosts Cielito Pascual and Diana Gold Holland on Share International Radio for thought-provoking views behind the news, Sundays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio. You can also find us at shareontheairradio.org. This may be the message of hope you've been waiting for.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hi there, and welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox. And on today's show, I'm talking about love, romance, and compatibility. And this is one of the, probably love and romance and compatibility is probably one of the most popular questions I get asked most of the time. People write me a lot and ask me about their relationships. And as I said in the beginning of the show, what's your sign is probably one of the best known pickup lines. And of course, compatibility is more than just a sun sign, but it's a great place to start. So before the break, I talked about the fire signs and fire sign compatibility, the fire signs being Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And if you are a fire sign and you missed that segment, there will be replays on OMTimes throughout the week, so be sure to go back and listen. So now I'm up to the earth sign compatibility, and earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. How does earth signs and earth signs get on? Well, typically, according to astrology, signs of the same element are very compatible. It's a great place to start. Of course, there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. There's always something, but there's definitely varying degrees of compatibility. If you think about the people in your life and how you get on better with some and not others, you think through that there's all the planets in all the signs at the time we were born, and it's how our planets connect with somebody else's planets that make for true compatibility. We can learn a lot from not just sun sign compatibility, but through doing compatibility or synastry astrology overall. So now to the earth signs, and that's Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So when two earth signs are romantically involved, it's a meeting of shared sensibilities. Earth signs are known for being practical and grounded. Earth signs are natural at committed long-term relationships. They're also quite sensual, possessing an earthy brand of passion. And so earth signs are known for being materialistic. So sometimes with compatibilities, when ambitions match, then that makes for very good compatibility. So I think of two earth signs who can be matched with their ambitions because they're hard workers by nature. And sometimes earth signs can put more into their careers and other responsibilities than they devote their intimate relationships. But when you have two earth signs aligned, working hard for the future, that is definitely a great match. Overall, however, two earth signs get along very well together, sharing a strong sense of their basic values and a similar perspective on a life well lived. The soulmate probability for two earth signs is high, as long as they make sure to lighten up and enjoy some carefree fun from time to time. Life doesn't have to be all serious all the time. But as I said, it's good when ambitions match. Next we have earth and air. So earth signs and air signs. Earth signs being Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Earth, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, air signs. And when an earth sign and an air sign are romantically involved, it can be a hit or miss as far as a deep, long-term connection goes. So if you think of the earth and then you think of the air, there's not much in common there. But as I just said, astrological compatibility is a lot more than just sun signs. So, for example, if you're a Taurus sun sign, you're together with a Gemini sun sign, that's surface level, but the Taurus sun sign might have a Gemini moon, and the Gemini sun sign might have a Taurus moon, or any other planets that are definitely compatible. So this is a great place to start, but it really is more important to look beyond just the sun sign for true compatibility. So when an earth sign and an air sign are romantically involved, it can be hit or miss as far as deep long-term connection goes, because there needs to be more planets that are connected rather than just sun signs with these two elements. So you have the stable, sensual earth signs that tend to be practical and no nonsense. They live in their bodies, connecting with the world around them in a tactile and realistic way. Now, the key to earth signs is realism, practicality, being methodical, really being down to earth. And with the air signs, on the other hand, they tend to live in their heads far more than their bodies, and they could be consumed with high-flying ideas at times. At best, earth can help ground the air signs on a physical plane, both sensually and in terms of practical day-to-day matters, while the air signs can act as a fresh breeze blowing through Earth's intellect, helping them gain a novel perspective. So the air signs are very intellectual, very cerebral, very good with coming up with ideas, very clever, very smart. The earth signs are definitely very grounded and realistic. So the soulmate probability for these two are medium, as long as they make an effort to appreciate the ways in which their differences complement one another's personalities. So that's also the key to love and compatibility, is not just looking for similarities, but appreciating the differences and how differences can complement one another's personalities. It's like two halves making a whole. When two people come together, the other person doesn't fill or make up for what's lacking, but complementary is a very good word. When two people come together, one can support the other. So I always think of compatible elementary signs, and in this case, earth and air, it's about physical and intellectual. Next, we move on to earth and water signs. And the earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And the earth signs, as I've said, are practical, materialistic, dependable, industrious, conservative. They could be possessive, thrifty. They want security. And then the water signs are emotional, sensitive, feeling, impressionable, imaginative, devoted, compassionate, sometimes psychic, sometimes dramatic, definitely romantic. So the combination of these two signs, earth and water. So when you have an earth sign and a water sign that are romantically involved, there's a deep, loving and committed match that can come about from these two, because overall, when you have earth and water together in astrology, it's a very good match. So earth and water together, very compatible. So the earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, and the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Any combination of those 6 signs I just mentioned, very good match, very good sun sign match. So stable earth is a natural at commitment and tends to have a much needed grounding influence on any of the water signs. And emotional water signs in turn inspires earth to connect in a deeply intimate and feeling way. And so when you have two people of earth and water, they're likely to get serious very fast, as if they can sense within one another an immediate kinship. There's definitely a familiarity between these two signs, these two elements, amongst these types of signs. And water relies on earth to provide a sense of security and appreciates earth's natural strength. And earth signs adore water signs for their tender heart and will go to great lengths to protect water from the harshness of life. And so the soulmate probability between earth signs and water signs is high. As long as these two make a conscious effort to lighten up from time to time, love should be about more than duty and deep emotional connection, well, at least sometimes. So when you have earth and water coming together, it's a very, very good match, a great match. And it's like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle coming together when earth and water come together. And I'll just do a quick recap from what I've spoken about just previously in the show. And earth and air signs, the earth signs Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, air signs Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. There is a potential for a good match with earth and air. They just have to appreciate their differences and realize they're complementary. When you have earth and earth, it really is a great match because they understand each other. So any sign of the same element typically understands each other. So there's an easy or an easy flow or a great connection. So they have points in their favor even from the very beginning when you are of the same element to your loved one. When you have fire and water, if you think about those elements in nature, fire and water seem completely at odds. What you would need to do there is look for the similarities, and that is definitely passion. Passion in a very different way. The fire is more obvious to the water. After the break, I will continue with the air signs and air sign compatibility, so stay tuned.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Spiritual, metaphysical, green living, psychic, alternative healing, life coaching. Do any of these or similar terms apply to your business or cause? If so, you are in a niche market with a very specific audience. Conscious Gate PR is the world's leading conscious public relations agency. With a global reach of over 4 million and growing, we offer comprehensive media campaigns to our targeted market. Learn more at ConsciousGatesPR.com. Conscious marketing for conscious minds.
Join Vibe Nation radio host, international psychic medium Carrie Turcotte, as she guides her listeners to rediscover themselves by accessing the keys of knowledge that already exist within. Each week's show is divinely orchestrated to intertwine with the universal energies, allowing the listeners to go deeper within. At the end of each show, Carrie will tap into the energies of the listeners and give a message from Spirit about the upcoming week. If you really want to get to know who you truly are, join Carrie each Monday at 3 p.m. on Vibe Nation Radio.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox. And on today's show, I am talking about love, romance, and compatibility, which is a topic I get asked all the time, which I enjoy thoroughly. And on this show, I thought I would break it down according to elements, because that's a quick and easy formula when looking at compatible sun signs. So far before the break, I talked about the fire signs, compatibility. fire signs with earth, air, and water signs. Also the earth signs with the air and water signs. Now I'm going to talk about the air signs and air sign compatibility. So what happens when you have air sign plus air sign? Air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. So the air signs are very mental, perceptive, alert, receptive, versatile, adjustable, expressive, observative. I can't say that word. They're very gregarious, cooperative, compatible, tolerant, and sometimes detached. So air signs overall are intellectual signs. So when you have two air signs that are romantically involved, it typically is a meeting of the minds. So on a first date, if you have two air signs, they might stay up all night laughing, flirting, discussing everything under the sun. It's very important for an air sign to get that intellectual stimulation. Air signs fall in love on a mental, cerebral level first, and they're attracted to one another for their mutual wit, knowledge, and intelligence. And the friendship between two air signs is strong, and they can even outlast their romantic connection if two air signs decide that the romance, it's more important to have the friendship than the romance. But since air signs are always in their heads, two air signs in love can run into problems if their physical connection isn't as strong as their mental bond. So overall, when it comes to compatibility, it's important to be matched on all levels, not just intellectual or emotional or physical. All levels are very important when it comes to love and romance. So the soulmate probability for air signs is high, as long as they give as much time and attention to the physical side of their love as they do to their intellectual bond. So that's air sign, and air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Next, there is air and water. So the air and water signs, how compatible are air and water signs? The air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So how do they match up? If you think about air and you think about water, what happens when you mix air and water? So when an air sign and a water sign are romantically involved, it's a case of two very different souls attempting to find common ground. And of course, water signs are emotional, sensitive, feeling, impressionable, imaginative, devoted, compassionate. They can be psychic, sometimes dramatic, but always romantic. And so as air signs are clever and inventive and they live in their mind, while water signs are nurturing and emotional and live in the heart. So it's a matter of head and heart coming together. And it can be difficult sometimes for these two to feel heard and understood by one another, because the air signs tend to intellectualize their feelings and can be excellent at analyzing emotional subjects. Water, on the other hand, tends to feel things so deeply that they lose their ability to discuss their emotions in any sort of coherent or rational way. And really, overall, it's not important to a water sign to even discuss their emotions, where the air sign is all about discussing everything under the sun, not just their emotions. So if it comes down to it, when water and air mix, there can be a disconnect that can be frustrating, simply because water is very emotional, living in their heart, while air signs are intellectual, living in their head. The soulmate probability is low if there are no other planets connected in the compatibility chart. both partners need to make an effort to meet one another halfway. Air striving to be more raw and authentic in their emotions, while water striving to be more clear and logical in their thinking. And that's how they will meet each other halfway, is understanding their differences and realizing they're complementary and not getting tangled. Because if you've got somebody who's living in their head while somebody else lives in their heart, that can be quite difficult. It's a thinker versus a feeler. So that unless there are other planets, other compatible planets in the chart of the individuals that have the air and water, it might be a tough match. And then finally, for the elemental compatibility that I'm doing on this show, we have water and water. And so the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces coming together with a Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And when you have two signs of the same element, overall, that's a great connection, a great compatibility when it comes to astrology. Signs of the same element understand each other, they get each other. It is a very good first step when it comes to synastry or astrological compatibility. And as I said before, compatibility, according to astrology, is so much more than a sun sign, but it really is a great place to start. What needs to be taken into consideration for true compatibility is all the planets in various signs at the time we were born. So we are so much more than just our sun sign. So compatibility takes into consideration how all the planets in somebody's chart connect with somebody else's planets in the chart. So after the break, I will continue with love, romance, and compatibility.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Hey America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox. And on this show, I'm talking about love, romance, and compatibility. And I'm going through each element. We have 4 elements in astrology: fire, earth, air, and water. And so when you're born under one of the elements, there is a definite flow, a definite easy compatibility when you have 2 fire signs together or 2 water signs together. And I'm just going to run through real quick what the signs are. So we have the fire signs, which are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. The air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And the water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So when you are born under the same element, there's already points in your favor for great compatibility. I went through the other elemental connections, and now I'm up to the water and water signs together. The water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, there's a natural affinity with signs of the same element, and that includes the water signs. So when two water signs are romantically involved, they can form the deepest of emotional bonds because water signs are very, very emotional. They're emotional, they're sensitive, they feel, they're impressionable, they're imaginative, devoted, compassionate, and at times very psychic and always romantic. And so these two share a connection so close that it might even feel like a fated connection. Two water signs together may feel fated. They understand one another intuitively and are able to sense each other's every emotion. Now, that definitely has pluses and minuses, but really you want your partner to understand and get you, like everybody does on some level. Of course, this can get very heavy very fast, and it can be tough for these two to not get overly wrapped up in each other's feelings, because typically a key word for the water signs is empathy. So if you're feeling your partner, you may be picking up the feelings of your partner as well. So codependent relationships are common between two water signs, which, as I said, isn't necessarily a bad thing. These two depend on each other for emotional balance and sustenance. And that can be very mutually fulfilling as long as they support one another and share a solid foundation of trust. And of course, all relationships, no matter what element or sign, there always has to be a solid foundation of trust for a successful relationship. So the soulmate probability for water and water is very high. It's as long as they avoid becoming bogged down in emotion, that they hold each other back or lose touch with simple day-to-day life. Sometimes it's so hard to take any action or move forward because we're so bogged down with how we feel, we just can't see outside of our feelings. And, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but all the time it is, like everything in moderation. So it's like when it comes down to it, we're all seeking the same thing in love. We're all seeking the one, or our soulmate, or our twin flame. And it's that special person whose personality, interests, values, and goals mesh so well with our own that it feels as if we're a perfect fit and we've known and loved one another for lifetimes. But getting to know if that person really is the one or not, a good place to start is astrological compatibility. And so getting to know the elements of the zodiac really helps. Now there's another modality of the zodiac, and it's known as the modalities, I guess, but it's cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So the elements are more about compatibility, and the modes are more about understanding. And so the cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So those four signs are all about initiation or trend setting or leadership. Then you have the fixed signs, and the fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And they're more about stability and dependability and determination. And then finally, you have the mutable signs, and the mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And those signs are about adaptability and change and being flexible. There's another level of measuring compatibility through those modalities of cardinal, fixed, and mutable. But really, the best place to start are the elements, which are fire, earth, air, and water. So there's the overview for elemental compatibility according to astrology. Of course, astrology is a lot more than just sun signs. It really is an excellent place to start and get to really know the sun signs very well. But at the moment we were born, astrologers take in all the planets and the various signs that the planets were in at that time, at the moment of our first breath. And then the chart is cast. And from that chart, which is called the natal chart, from that chart we can determine how an individual is within a relationship, not only with themselves but those around them. And then when there's a compatibility, you look at the individual's natal chart and you compare it to the spouse or the partner's chart. And there's no such thing as a perfect chart or a perfect relationship or a perfect compatibility. It's all varying degrees. And there's been lots of times with relationship readings where I can tell straight away if a relationship is going to work or not based off the connection the planets have, the natal planets have to each other. So in other words, somebody has a chart, and somebody else has their own natal chart, and then I look and see a comparison between the two. There's also another technique in astrology, in astrological compatibility, which is called composite. And so within a composite chart, it's the analysis of the relationship. So basically it creates a third entity. So it's person one, person two, and then the third entity is the relationship itself. And the relationship has its own chart. And so this chart is called a composite chart. And that's very, very insightful because what it tells me is it's the chart of the relationship. So I can see what type of relationship the couple is going to have, the issues within the relationship, and it moves beyond the compatibility of the two people to look at the entity of the relationship. It's very fascinating, very insightful. It gives you another dimension or another perspective on what the relationship is about. You can also have forecasting to this composite chart, which then gives a forecast for the couple. Because typically in astrology it's always easier to have a forecast for an individual, but this way it allows you to forecast for a couple. So next I want to move on to, while we're still on the topic of love, romance and compatibility, how to love any sign of the Zodiac. I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this. And each sign has its own characteristics, its own traits. And, once the honeymoon period has passed, staying in love can sometimes be a lot of hard work. No matter what the Zodiac sign your lover might be, they have their own unique needs in order to be fulfilled in a relationship. So I'm going to whiz through each of the signs and just give you an overview of what each sign might like and how to keep up or keep the romance going. So if you have an Aries in your life, Aries needs variety and spontaneity in order to thrive. So if you can keep coming up with new ideas for experiences that you can share together, and try not to slip into a routine. Aries gets bored very fast. Aries also likes to play the hero, so let him or her save the day every now and then. And your Aries has a reputation for their temper, but try not to take their outbursts too personally. If you have a Taurus in your life, cuddles and lots of physical affection are the way to your Taurian's heart. Taurus doesn't like surprises, so create some loving, warming, comforting routines to your daily life together, Make sure your Taurus feels appreciated by always buying the best quality gifts you can afford. Sensuality is key in your love life, so don't rush things. If you have a Gemini lover, your Gemini needs to be playful and young at heart, no matter how old he or she is. So indulge the fun side of your partnership and keep the magic alive. Don't sulk or withdraw from your Gemini during tough times. It's vital to keep communicating because that's what he or she does the best. Don't take your Gemini's flirting to heart either. They really like to connect with lots of different people. They like to learn. Nothing more to it for most of them. If you are in love with a Cancer, learning how to love your in-laws is crucial if you are to keep your Cancer lover feeling secure. They need an old-fashioned romance with lots of respect and care. Your Cancer wants to take care of you, so allow yourself to be looked after every now and then. Don't dismiss your Cancer's fears and worries. They're very real to your lover. If you have a Leo lover, they want to be adored. So keep lavishing affection throughout your relationship. Don't assume you've said it often enough. You can cut through some of the arrogance with some constructive criticism, but don't wound that fragile ego. Your Leo wants to be proud of you, so allow them to sing your praises too, even if you're embarrassed. Sometimes Leo can go a little bit over the top, but hey, it's worth it. If you have a Virgo in your life, you may find that they want to improve you, but that's just his or her way. Try not to take it too personally. Take the criticism with a smile and remind yourself that they do love the real you too. Meanwhile, be warm and kind to your slightly insecure Virgo. Be an intelligent companion, but let your Virgo take care of the details of life so that he or she feels needed and wanted. Virgos love to be of service. If you have a Libra in your life, Libra loves to be flattered, but can easily become over-dependent on you. Encourage him or her to have interests and friendships outside of the relationship. Think sentimental romance in order to show Libra your love, and have patience with their indecisiveness. They're simply weighing up all the options endlessly. If you have a Scorpio in your life, your Scorpio needs you to embrace his or her huge mood swings. Don't try to jolly your partner out of them. It's who they are. Be full-on passionate whenever you can, and let your Scorpio indulge in a few bedroom power games too. Push gently against jealous outbursts. It's important that your Scorpio learns to handle your independence, because sometimes they can be quite emotionally needy. If you have a Sagittarius partner, be direct with them at all times. This sign doesn't do subtlety and will miss your point otherwise. Your Sagittarius wants you to embrace the outdoors and adventure. Avoid routines like the plague, and don't try to force your Sag to settle down. Give him or her their freedom, and they will stay by your side voluntarily. If you have a Capricorn lover, your Capricorn works extremely hard and would like to respect you for doing the same. Take seriously your joint commitment to building a life, but teach your Capricorn how to play hard too. Beneath the bossiness, your Capricorn is plagued by doubts. Be the person who can remove those doubts. If you have an Aquarian lover, your Aquarius works on an intellectual level, so meet him or her there first. Lively debates and friendly arguments are par for the course. Freedom is vital to your Aquarius lover, so don't try to restrict him or her. Be spontaneous and don't hold back on emotions. Your Aquarian could do with learning that emotions are real. And finally, Pisces, sweet Pisces, water sign. Your Pisces needs you to understand his or her world of dreams and fantasies. Your partner isn't always present in the real world, so deal with it. Tune into your Pisces spirituality and intuitive gentleness, but give him or her every opportunity to lead in the relationship so that your Pisces doesn't become overly dependent on you. So that's the 12 signs of the zodiac. I covered in today's show the elements, compatibility according to the elements, which is sort of like a shortcut. If you know each of the signs' elements, then you can shortcut the compatibility. So you know that the same element gets on, so that the fire signs get on, the earth signs get on with each other, the air and the water signs. The next rule of thumb is fire and air signs are generally very good together, while earth and water signs are very good together. But of course, compatibility is more than sun signs. It's about all the planets in various signs at the time we were born. So, for example, if you have an Aries and a Scorpio, typically you've got fire and water, and that's not such a great mix. But the Aries may have a Scorpio moon, and the Scorpio may have an Aries moon, and that would be a match made in heaven. Anyway, thanks for joining me on tonight's show, all about love, romance, and compatibility. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelly Fox, and I look forward to you tuning in to next week's show. Have a great week.